You ever have one of those memories that's so real you can almost feel it? Like you could just step right back into it? Well, that's what we're doing today. We're diving into a single, chaotic night at a rock show that ended up defining a band's sound, solidifying a friendship, and yeah, it cost about 75 bucks and lost stuff. It's a story about how the smallest moments, the ones you can't plan, sometimes have the biggest payoff. And get this, the story doesn't start in the past. It starts now. Or, well, January 2026, technically. Because that's the funny thing about our own personal histories, right? They never really stay buried. Sometimes all it takes is a little buzz from your phone, a simple text message, and suddenly you're pulled right back through time, straight into the middle of it all. And yeah, that is exactly what happened. A text from my friend, Peach, just pops up on the screen reminding me about a Ned's Atomic Dustbin show from, wow, decades ago. And just like that, the quiet of today is gone. It's totally replaced by the phantom ringing in my ears from one absolutely legendary night at the old 930 Club. So to really get why this one show was such a huge deal, we have to rewind. Back to the 90s, back to my band, the unWorld, and more importantly, we have to talk about the creative engine of that whole thing, my friend Peter. You know, every band, every project has that one person who's the catalyst, right? The one who just pushes everyone forward. For us, that was Peter. Peter was just this incredible musician. He was formally trained, super smart, bold, and just buzzing with energy. He had this way of thinking about music that didn't just influence our sound, it pretty much became our band's whole identity. He's the one who gave us our focus, our edge. So one day, Peter plays me this band, Ned's Atomic Dustbin, and he is completely obsessed with their sound, specifically their two bass players setup. And you know how it is when you hear something that just opens up a new door in your brain? For Peter, it sparked this question. We're only a three-piece band. What if that's not a weakness? What if he could figure out a way to play like two bass players all by himself? Look, most bands follow a pretty standard formula. You got your guitar, bass, drums, vocals. But Peter's idea just completely rewired how we thought about our band. See, this is where our limitation, being just three guys, actually forced us to get creative. We weren't going to add another person. We were going to make ourselves sound bigger, fuller with what we had. And the technique he came up with was honestly incredible. He wasn't just playing simple bass lines. He was literally splitting his playing in two. He'd be holding down the fort with the deep, rhythmic low end, while at the same time punching through with these powerful, melodic lines in the mid-range. He basically became two musicians in one, and that, right there, became the unWorld's signature sound. So you can imagine, when Peter sees that Ned's Atomic Dustbin, the actual band that sparked this whole thing, is playing at the old 930 Club in DC, it wasn't even a question. It was a done deal. We had to go. We had to see the architects of this sound up close and personal. Now, if you never went to the old 930 Club, it's hard to explain just how important that place was. These tiny, sweaty venues are like incubators for music scenes. It was a total pressure cooker. You were packed in there, literally like sardines in a can, but that was the magic. There was zero distance between the band and the audience, which created this intense, amazing energy. And I mean that, literally shoulder to shoulder. The sweat, the noise, feeling the kick drum in your rib cage. It was this shared, compressed, and just absolutely electric experience. You weren't just watching a show, you were part of the energy in that room. And while we were standing in line, we even saw fans who used to come to our old band's shows. It was this cool feeling, you know? A reminder that we were all part of this bigger thing, this little ecosystem. Local scenes are built on those small connections, creating this shared history where everyone's feeding off the same inspiration. The moment Ned's hit the first note, the place just went off. All that compressed energy we felt in line, it just detonated. That sardine can turned into this swirling vortex of sound and people. For us, watching them was just pure validation. It was like seeing our whole idea play out live and in person. This wasn't just inspiring, it proved to us that we were on the right track. It was this massive moment of, okay, yes, this works. This is what we're doing. And of course, right in the middle of all this glorious chaos is Peter. A mosh pit erupts, and in this perfect moment of pure Peterness, he gets hoisted up and starts crowd surfing. I mean, he was the living embodiment of his all-in attitude. He's just joyfully riding this wave of people across the tiny club, right until he gets unceremoniously dumped on the floor. It was so perfectly hit. So the high from the show was amazing, but it definitely came with a price tag. The next day, after the ringing in our ears finally died down a little, it was time for the debrief. It was time for the damage report. Turns out, in the beautiful disaster of the mosh pit and the crowd surf, Peter he'd lost a few things. His glasses? Definitely gone. Keys? A strong possibly. Wallet? A maybe. His dignity? The jury's still out on that one. It was a very real, tangible list of the night's casualties. And this actually became a kind of running joke for us. Rock and roll accounting. It's this idea of tallying up the literal, out-of-pocket costs of a totally unforgettable formative experience. Because, let's be honest, the best nights often leave a little dent in your wallet too. So, what was the grand total? It came out to about $75. Now, that might not sound like a ton of money today, but back in the 90s, for us, that was a pretty significant hit. But you know what? Even as he was adding it all up, there was absolutely no regret. It felt like an investment in our band and in a memory that would last a lifetime. And that brings us right back to today, right back to that text message. Because the real value of that night, you could never calculate it in dollars. The real payoff, the true return on that $75 investment, took decades to really sink in. Thinking about it now, I'm just so grateful. This whole story is really about a creative partnership. Peter's vision, his patience with the rest of us, it shaped our entire band. His willingness to jump on that ride was just a gift. Every great project has someone like that, right? Someone whose contribution is just impossible to measure. That one night ended up becoming a symbol for us. It was about influence, friendship, and all the messy, unglamorous work that goes into building something you really believe in. These are like the real-life B-sides, the small, sometimes expensive moments that don't make the album's final cut, but they quietly shape everything you become. They cost you something up front, for sure, but man, they keep paying you back for the rest of your life. And it just makes me wonder, we all have these moments, right? These nights that cost us something, whether it's a pair of glasses or maybe just a night's sleep. But when a memory is truly priceless, how can you even begin to count the cost?